Hey everybody, Corey from the tech team again, here with another fusion tip for you. Today we're going to talk about the check valve cartridges. So the bottom piece, the check valve cartridge and the filter screen, remove that again, small screwdriver, or again, the part on the piranha tool, pry it out, clean it. Sometimes these screens are going to be stuck on there extremely well. You may have to cut those and destroy the screen to get it off. One thing I do want to mention is they do come in different sizes. This is an 80 mesh screen, a really fine screen. They also have a 40 mesh screen. So one thing you want to watch is that you always match the screens, that they're the same mesh on both A and B. If you're running two different size mesh, you can affect the pressures on the machine because there's more restriction to get through the finer mesh than the larger mesh. So the hard part is always basically just like this one. How do you get that screw out of there? It's been in the ISO, it's hardened up. As you can see, we've already done it on this one at least once, or we've heated that up to get it. Here's one that's nice and all hardened up. Nobody's been paying attention to it for a while. It's been sitting out on a bench. How do you get it apart? Best way is just a little bit of heat. So usually I'll take a wrench, get it to fit on a couple of the flats, have your screwdriver ready to go. It's not coming out. I usually take just a lighter. Doesn't take a lot of heat to get these heated up very much. You can use a torch. The thing you got to watch on a torch is that if you get it really, really hot, one, you'll discolor it, something like that, but you can also melt that spring or get that spring too hot. Once you got that spring too hot, it's lost its temper. You're going to have to throw that spring away. It's not going to be any good anymore, so make sure you got spare parts before you do that. ISO usually starts to liquefy back at about 160 degrees, so it really doesn't take a whole lot to get that ISO softened up. Sometimes you'll actually see it start to bubble up around the outside. Once you think you have it warm enough, take your screwdriver and try it. Usually you just like that, you'll break that loose. Now you can get that apart. So once you have it from this point on, now you can take that, soak it in whatever cleaner, the N&P, and you can get that out. Now again, like you see, like I was talking about, you're probably going to destroy that spring inside of there, so make sure you have spare parts to put that back together. It's very important that that spring and that check ball are in there. What this does, if you're spraying and you've got an off pressure situation where you've got 100% pressure, 2,000 pounds on your A side, and you lose pressure on your B side or vice versa, you pull that trigger on that gun, the mix chamber slides back, product's going to come in, go through and do a crossover in your gun. So it's going to cross over and start to go into the B side of the gun or the opposite side and come through. It's going to hit that check valve and stop. That's why it's there. That little BB is very important, that it stops that fluid from going any farther. If it goes any farther and gets into your manifold, it's going to get into your manifold and go right down your whip hose. And you've got about 5 seconds to get that apart and clean it out, or you're buying a new whip hose. So again, it's very important to maintain these. It's something we see that a lot of people neglect it because they can't get it apart, they can't clean it, and then that check ball doesn't function because it's got a little bit of ISO built up on it, a little chunk of something, or it just starts to cause a restriction. And again, restriction is going to cause you an E24. So there's a trick on how to get that apart.